Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Conversations with Couples. This week we have Ricardo and Sara Hope. They're fairly new to our church, so a lot of you may not know them, so I'm excited that you're going to get to know them through this video. So sit back, enjoy, and watch the video, and if you like it, share it with your friends.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining in with us for another episode of Conversation with Couples. And today we have another couple from our church, Ricardo and Sara Hope. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thanks.
Good. Well, thank you guys for agreeing to do this. I believe this is our 4th episode. And so that makes you couple number 4. And I'm glad you guys are doing that. So if you would just do me a favor, introduce yourselves to everybody in case, everyone doesn't know who you are. Just tell us, how long you've been married, how long you guys have been at the church. I know you haven't been at the church very long. Your family, what you guys do. Just kind of give us just some basics about the Hopes.
Okay, I'll begin. So my name is Ricardo Hope. Let's see, I retired from the Marine Corps after 20 years of service last year. We retired out of Virginia. And I'm an elementary school teacher, so my teaching program brought me here to Dallas to work in East Dallas. So I got here about a year ago now, today. And we've been members of FBCALLEN since, I guess, July of 2019. So we're, relatively new members to the church, to this church, and we're excited to be here. And I'll let Sara cover all the familial questions. She knows better with
that. He's scared he's going to forget somebody. I'm Sara Hope, and I have been married to Ricardo for, we just had our 19th wedding anniversary last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feels like way longer. And we have 5 kids. Alice is 3, Rosa is 6, Oscar is 9, Lucy is 11, I know, and Carly is 14. And
that's awesome. So obviously y'all have full-time jobs, but Sara, do you work outside of the home too?
I don't. I was a Marine for 9 years. I got out when I was pregnant with Oscar. We wanted to grow our family, and it was easier if one of us could stay home. And I'm in grad school online. I'm on the slow track, the one course every several months track, but I'm working on it. So
that's awesome. Well, congratulations on 19 years and 5 kids, and thank you on behalf of all of us for your service to the military. What exactly did you? So you both were in the Marines, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, and what did y'all do in the Marines?
So I was a communications officer. So I deal with computers, radios, telephones, and provide communications for all the units that I served with.
Okay.
And I was an adjutant, which is like a legal and administrative officer.
Okay, very cool. I like that. Well, let me just start there then. So what was it like trying to be married and both of you in the military? Talk about that for a second, and struggles, good things, bad things. Just talk about that for a second.
It was easy. No, just kidding.
Good.
I think the cool thing, I was 2 years ahead of Sara by the time she was commissioned into the Marine Corps. So I guess in a way, I kind of set the stage and made that part of our marriage easy at the very beginning, because I knew the Marine Corps. She changed her last name, and she was able to, I think, relatively easily slide into that portion of our careers. I think it wasn't so difficult before we had kids. We were just 2 Marine officers with no kids. We had different responsibilities, but we were able to balance that pretty well. And I'd like to, I did all the bills, she did stuff, and it was, relatively easy.
Yeah.
And then we started having kids, and then things got more difficult. I can pass this on. At least we can talk about with Carly.
Yeah. So, the beginning of our career, Ricardo deployed 3 times. I deployed once. So in the first 5 years we were married, we probably were only together less than 3 years in the same place. Some people have it way worse. So that even then, that seemed pretty good to us. Then we had Carly. We were on a shore duty where we weren't going to deploy. And it was tricky, but we had enough rank that we had flexibility built into our schedule, so it wasn't so bad. But there were days that the pack and play was set up in my office, or days where one of us would have to go home early and stuff like that. We went to a school together and thought, yeah, this is pretty easy, let's have another baby. And we did. And then we showed back up to the operating force as I was 7 months pregnant, which commanding officers love when their staff officers show up pregnant. And we had our daughter Lucy, and it was a little trickier because we were back in the operating forces. Marines are expected to deploy, and we actually, you want to deploy. That's sort of how you earn your stripes, how you justify your leadership. And I was ready to go, and I was ready to leave little tiny baby Lucy home, and I was going to be gone, and then Rick was going to be gone. Our moms were going to do some sort of
fly by night.
Yeah, tag you're in. And,
right.
And I had a commanding officer who I did not love at the time. He was a little old fashioned, and he basically said, "There's no way you're going." And he said it was because he didn't want me to leave. He didn't want there to be a hole in the staff. But I think part of it was that he just couldn't fathom that I was going to leave my baby. And at the time, our 2 babies. And at the time I was very resentful. But I look back on that and see what a huge blessing it was. And we sort of decided then and there that I was done. I was going to complete my obligated time and then get out. And I did. We got pregnant with Oscar. Ricardo left for Afghanistan when I was about 6 weeks pregnant, 8 weeks pregnant. Came home when I was 9 months pregnant.
Wow.
And so we went from two income, 2 kids, to 1 income, 3 kids. It was a little crazy, but
we've been pretty, very blessed throughout the entire time. We had some godly people that came alongside of us, helped with that transition, for Sarah's transition. I think it helped that I was deployed, so she can kind of figure out what this whole, not being in the Marine Corps and taking care of her family thing looks like without me, nitpicking all the decisions that are made. But we grew during that time, and our faith continued to grow and sustain us during that time as well. And I think we were better up, for it.
Yeah, very cool. All right, we jumped in the deep end real quick on that question. So let me go back to the shallow real fast. So what did you guys do on your first official date? You remember?
Well, we met at the Naval Academy.
Okay.
And when we met, I was a freshman and he was a junior. And freshmen cannot date upper class. That is against the rules. And Rick is nothing if not a rule follower. And so I fell pretty hard right away. And he
strung you along.
I don't think he knew I existed, to be honest with you. And because when you're at the Naval Academy, you're sort of confined to the base. Mm-hmm. So our first real date was probably something like getting like fast food. Yeah, it was not glamorous.
Real fancy.
Yeah.
I think we supersized. Yeah,
he did have a car.
There you go.
He did have a car, which made him very eligible bachelor.
Nice.
For leaving the base, but
yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. So, who said I love you first?
Probably me.
Yeah.
Probably me.
Okay. Very cool. I like that. Where is do what?
It seems like a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm so sure. So what is y'all's, when you get opportunity, obviously with 5 kids, but what is your favorite thing to do together, just the 2 of y'all, when you get that chance?
I think regardless of location, is just the talk. Yeah. Usually when the kids are around, mommy, and I'm like, I'm right here, mommy's doing something, mommy. And so just getting together and having an adult conversation about either current events or, our thoughts and feelings about different things.
Yeah.
That's usually what we'd like to do. We can't just go to the movies because we can't talk then. So
Yeah.
It's a waste of a babysitter to just
Yeah, that's right. Plus, you probably take a nap. You're so tired anyway. So that's great. So, Ricardo, where is Sarah's happy place when she does get a chance to kind of be on her own? Where's her happy place?
I think right now her happy place would be in a car by herself with the air conditioner on, listening to a podcast. I think that's
There
her
you go.
happy place.
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where's his?
I think it's tricky. He is like always up. He's like a real happy guy. His happy place right now, in the midst of being home and working online and going to school online, is probably playing video games on the couch, sometimes with the kids around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or we've been going on a lot of family walks and like
Yeah.
going out to Celebration Park and playing Frisbee. I think that's probably his happy place. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's a mix
It's
of both.
it's a tie. It's a tie with
Yeah.
video games and going to the park. So
Yeah, very cool. So, question, you guys, interracial couple, talk about that. What is that like, and what's it been like, and probably what's that like in today's current climate and culture that we're living in? And I don't want to make this everything about race, but it's an important issue going on right now, and it has been for a long time. But just talk about that for y'all, and I'd love to get both your perspectives on this, and just being an interracial couple.
Okay. I guess the good thing is that in the environments we've been in with the military is it's really not that, it's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got married. I was in Kalamazoo, North Carolina. Again, what wasn't uncommon in the Marine Corps, in the circles that we traveled in. So we didn't really experience any issues. I don't think we've ever really experienced any issues with being in an interracial relationship and then being married at the Naval Academy or in the fleet. I think I say difficulty, but the things that and it kind of caused us to think about it a little bit more was when we started having kids, right? So
Mm-hmm.
kids are mixed. So are they black? Are they white? I think that's really when they start, because they'd ask questions, and we're kind of like, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
Those aren't necessarily very satisfactory questions for kids to for answers for them to have. So yeah.
Yeah, we've been really, really fortunate, and but I'm from Vermont, which is a pretty homogenous state. Not a lot of color up there, and Ricardo's from Alabama, and so we visit both places, and we have family both places, and we love both places, but we decided pretty early on that we couldn't live in either place. We didn't want to be a token family in the North, and we didn't want to raise our kids in a sort of hostile, relatively hostile compared to other places in the South, and make things harder for them than we had to. So yeah. And when we moved to Texas, we were honestly a little nervous because we've never lived in a civilian community really, with no military presence. And I think we had some stereotypes about what Texas looked like. And when we got to Allen, we were just blown away. We love it here so much. It's so diverse. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And so we feel like, yeah, this is a great place for our family.
That's cool. Well, I meant to wear my cowboy hat, but I forgot it. I'm just kidding. I don't own a cowboy hat or boots, so I guess I'm not a good Texan. But I've been here my whole life, so anyway. So another question on that, and because a lot of parents are having to go through this, how are you guys talking to your kids about what all's going on in our country right now? I mean, because it seems to be so divided and so crazy, and and there's people on every side. So what about y'all, and just the reality of just talking to your kids about the race issues?
I think one of the things that we've been very clear about is acknowledging that there's a real world out there, and that things are happening. People are dying, people are being killed. So we never really sugarcoat that. We don't try to hide it away from the kids. So For those who are of age, who actually understand, we do talk to them about that. I guess the difficulty for them, for at least the younger ones, is that they don't see it directly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't impact them directly, and so they're not reading it on the news or anything like that. So it seems very abstract to them. But our two oldest, they definitely understand. We talk to them in depth. We don't necessarily let them watch the videos of those kinds of incidents, but we do describe kind of what happened and the backlash, and kind of what our response should be as as parents, but also as Christians to the sin and the ugliness of this world.
Good, that's good. So let me ask you this: so being parents, of 5 kids, and how do you balance being parents, but also how do you balance taking care of your marriage? Because I know as a parent, it's so easy to kind of put your marriage on the back burner, because it seems like the kids, kind of like what you said earlier, Ricardo, it's mommy. They're like always wanting your attention and needing something. It's a little easier when they get older, but how do you guys balance being good parents and having a good marriage?
I think, not to jump back in the deep end, but I think for us, knowing that God is our priority over each other gives us permission to make our relationship a priority over our children in a way. So just sort of understanding that there's a hierarchy, and that hierarchy exists for our benefit, not to rob them of anything. And we also know that, having us love each other is, of all the things we do for them and all the sports camps and all the opportunities we give them and all the books we read to them, having 2 parents that love each other is probably the most important thing we can do for them. So we're not perfect at it. I'm sure we've had years go by without a date and not even realized it. But we have turned a corner. We have turned a very important corner, which is that our oldest can babysit.
That's right.
And for any parents that are watching this, it's like your life begins. It's amazing. It's so fantastic. We don't have to call around, or we can't leave them for too long because they'll burn the house down. But so just going on walks together, or if we get like Chick-fil-A, if we call in Chick-fil-A, we'll just drive together to pick it up and use that time as a little mini date.
I think that's so cool. I mean, 2 things you said there. Number one, you didn't say it exactly like this, but I know what you mean, is like the best gift you can give your kids is a healthy marriage, and a marriage that they can look at. Because I think a lot of times kids look at their moms and dads, and if there's comfort in seeing mom and dad being okay, and kids kind of get a little freaked out when parents aren't together and aren't doing well, because there's safety and it looks like it's crashing. So I appreciate that about you. And then just the idea of the little bitty things. I think, a lot of people think date night, so they're thinking fancy this or that, but it's a walk, or just driving together to go get the Chick-fil-A and taking the long way home. That can be a little bit of a date night. So that is good. I appreciate that about you guys, and prioritizing your marriage over your kids. I think a lot of parents are afraid to do that, but it's good. So you mentioned just kind of your relationships with the Lord. How has that really impacted your marriage and how you love each other and how you do life together?
I think it's funny. We were asked to this is 2011 in Kansas. We were asked to we're looking at what Bible study to go to at our church, right? At different Sunday school type of Bible studies, and we're kind of like, what Bible study should we go to? And I think that on the way to church, we had a
huge fight.
Yeah, a little argument.
It was a huge fight.
It wasn't that.
It was pretty big on the way to church. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess in that sense, it was big. But and so there was some friends of ours were doing a study on love. I think it was
like a marriage, like a couple's marriage Sunday school class, and we were like, well, I guess that's where we're supposed to go.
Yeah. Based on the car ride.
Yeah, and so I think God has put either people or opportunities in our lives to for us to grow together. We either hosting a Bible study on together, or going to that couples Bible study. And just doing those kinds of things has truly helped us. And just having people that we can look up to that have gone through the same path that we've gone through, with multiple kids, and who are still in healthy marriages and still have healthy relationships with their children. And so that's been a blessing, for us.
That's good. So what do you feel like, and I'll let you go first on this one, Sarah, not that you can't talk up anytime, but what do you feel like has been some of the hardest things in marriage for you guys?
It took us a long time to figure out how we were different and how we were the same. I mean, we were probably married 10 years before we really cracked the code on the fact that Ricardo was an extrovert and I was an introvert. And that when he was around lots of people, he got energized and built up, and I was wore out and I needed time to be alone to get that energy. And same with like love languages, just sort of knowing, my love language is acts of service and his is physical touch. And so I can, fold his laundry all day long, but that's not going to do it. And he can come up and give me a hug, but that might not be what I'm looking for. And so, just really putting the time in to get to know each other and just sort of realize that it's not, it's not you're married and then that's it. It's a constant, the relationship is always growing. It's always changing. There's always more to know. It's not always pretty. We don't always, want to talk to each other, or, but sometimes he says, let's drive together to Chick-fil-A. And I say, no, I'm good. Sometimes I need my to be in my happy place in the car by myself. But I would say probably so that's been hard, but one of the things that I think we do really, really well is that we apologize a lot. We don't dwell on stuff. Yeah. We don't, hold grudges. We just apologize and forgive. We model that for our kids. I mean, and we tell our kids all the time, like, we are super messed up and we are going to disappoint you and we are going to mess up. And the best we can do is to, acknowledge it, ask for your forgiveness and move on. So make it right and move on.
Very cool. Ricardo, what would you, if you had the chance to rewind and go back 19 years, what would you tell you on your, like you're going to go back in time and talk to you on your wedding day? What would you go back and tell yourself with what you know now? What would you go back and tell yourself?
So as I mentioned before, before we had kids, I basically took care of the bills and, we paid for our own things. What I've come to find out is Sarah loves dealing with numbers and making plans for the family. And instead of kind of struggling through it and like, no, I got this, I'm trying to work it out, by myself, I would have let her do it. Because it brought her joy. She's a nerd.
Yeah.
So we did the Dave Ramsey Financial Piece. I'm the free spirit. Hey, let's go to the moon, and like,
yeah.
She's like, well, wait a second, we don't have that. We don't need this,
Yeah.
So she's more of the nerd. And so if we'd have done that earlier, it would have made, life much easier.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Sarah, what would you go back and tell yourself day one, knowing what you know now?
I think that I would tell myself that we should be surrounding ourselves with people who we want to be like couples that we admire and families that we think are doing it right, and not necessarily worry about our age group. We were pretty young when we got married, and so
I think we were the first ones to get married.
Yeah, we were the first one, and a lot of our friends. I mean, we got married 2 weeks after I graduated from college, and that's only because you have to wait from the Naval Academy to get married. You can't get married while you're still there, and so just I guess just looking for, they say like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and just sort of like looking for, not trying to make our way on our own, under our own strength, but really sort of seeking out mentors. we weren't Christ followers at that time of our lives. And so, I mean, the big advice I would say is, find Jesus. And,
There you go. There you go.
but outside of that,
Yeah. Cool. So what do you want? I mean, I know you've shared a lot, and this will be the last question I ask you. What do you want the people of, I realize a lot of people are going to watch this, not just FBC Allen people, but when people see you in church, once we're back inside stuff, what do you really want them to know about you? What do you hope they see?
I don't know. Is that question on your list, Jimmy?
No, it wasn't. Several of these weren't, and I apologize. But hey, the Holy Spirit's moving, so I'm just going.
I guess, at least for me, we're just a normal family. I think the way the camera is angled, you can't really see the mess behind us.
So messy.
Shoes that are on the floor, the kitchen that's a mess. But we're going to fix that because the kids are going to come back and do their chores. So, but we're just a normal family that has normal issues and problems. I guess we've transitioned from a military community to a civilian community. So that's we're keen on building relationships with other people. And I know that since for us, we'd move into a military community, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I apologize. We move into a military community, and kind of the way that those communities work is you make connections really quickly. Hey, I'm here for 6 months. I'm here for a year. Then I'm going to PCS somewhere else, and so families bonded pretty quickly in those types of communities. And the civilian community is not as easy. But I guess in one way we're open to more relationships that way, and also just through our BFG and through other events in the church, we've been able to grow in our faith with those partners and folks in the community. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think the thing we're working on right now, our sort of family goal right now, is to be more of a family team. And that's what we're trying to teach our kids. And it doesn't seem to be taking with all of them, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
But just the idea that, we are a team on mission for God. And sometimes that means sacrificing the things you want to do. But, everything we do, we bounce against, is this the thing? Is this the option that brings God the most glory? And it's going to look different for everyone. It's going to look different for different families, and just sort of, trying to be, an example of just, there's no wrong answer when you're in Christ. And,
right.
And yeah, so
that's good.
Everybody, I don't know.
No, that's good. Sorry for that curveball there at the end, but I appreciate it. You guys did an awesome job. And I love what you said, just that, hey, we're just a normal family. We've got our messes, and we do too. And so I like that about FBC Allen, is we are just a bunch of messy people just trying to love the Lord and take good care of each other. So thank y'all so much for doing this. And I appreciate you guys. And hopefully we'll get to see you on campus soon. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All right. See y'all.